Hi, everybody. This is John Ferrian, and I'm here today with Emilie and Staci. So we're here with the Professional Career Showcase, and we're excited to bring to you guys people from our network. So in this case today, Emilie is an acquaintance of Staci's, and vice versa. And we got the introductions going, and wanted to kick this off. But Emilie, say hi to everybody. Do a little quick intro for yourself, and then let us introduce to Staci.
Love it. Hi, I am Emilie Hoivik. I'm here with John and Staci, and John and I have been doing kind of a career showcase. So if you've not been able to see, we had a prior episode as well. So feel free to go and check that out. But our objective is really to just bring as many tools to you as we're learning in the process as well. I've been in the tech industry for over 20 years, and John and I had previously worked at Microsoft together
Yeah.
and found that this would be a really great way and a great avenue to just bring people together so we can learn together. And I do have Staci here with me. And it's funny, I was looking to update my resume. I just wanted to make sure I had everything kind of locked and loaded and ready to go. And so Staci had reached out to me and let me know about her services. And as we were talking, man, it really opened my eyes to just the perception that people kind of have of us, especially as we're going through either like a recruiter or we're walking through the interview process or we're just trying to get things together so we feel like we're really prepared and ready. And so we invited her here so she could just teach you and bring you all of the knowledge that she has and years of experience. So Staci, if you're good, I'm going to have you just kind of do a quick little intro of yourself and anything else that you'd like to share with everybody.
Well, sure. Thank you, Emily, and thank you, John. I first want to say I'm really honored to be on number two, but maybe inaugural first career professional presentation of your podcast. And uh, I'm delighted because we really share what I found with Emily. One of the reasons I said yes immediately when she asked me to do this is that I too have been on a mission. John will explain to you shortly, I think, but to empower and inspire people in their career changes, just like you. And we're in such a difficult time now. But I've done that, I say 7+ years, but really 7++ years, probably about 25 years, with over 3,000 clients through the Haas School of Business, also as a performance coach at Ernst& Young to 60 senior managers, and with Ivy Exec, 851 clients, and then my own business. So I'm really happy to share some ideas that may help you make your way through this, one of the probably one or the most difficult markets for brains I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's
I
amazing. And
love it.
yeah, go ahead. Emily, anything you want to add there quick? Otherwise, I'll remind everybody kind of our general mission and vision for what we're trying to accomplish here.
No, I'm just excited. So John, you go ahead.
All right, sounds good. So, verbatim, the way we've been trying to do this in each episode, we're going to read to you kind of our mission and our vision for the program here to make sure that you guys have a clear understanding of what our goals are. And especially as people reach out to us in the future and we're trying to, set up future interviews and conversations to help, enlighten people and just have an authentic conversation about our professional careers. So, here it is. So, the mission of this program is to empower and enlighten professionals across the globe by sharing our journey of career navigation, fostering growth, and embracing human centered authenticity. We commit to delivering insightful content that resonates with our core values of faith, family, and community. There you go. So then our vision for what we're trying to accomplish is also then to be an authentic voice in the professional podcasting space, recognized for inspiring individuals to achieve personal and career growth while staying true to their values. We envision creating a vibrant community where listeners can find guidance, support, and a sense of belonging as they pursue their aspirations. And I would say that the two episodes that we've had so far, I think we're nailing this, Emily. So it's awesome, and I'm really grateful that Staci has agreed to come on with us too. And we have a little bit of a presentation and some key topics that we're going to go through today too. And forgive us in advance if there's any technical glitches here, but I think we've been practicing and got it sorted out. But we're going to try to do a PowerPoint presentation along the way here too. So Emily, I'll key it back to you, and let's go from there.
Sounds good. Yeah. So just kind of before Staci goes through some of our content, as I was as I am navigating my career. It's been really interesting because when you think about a value proposition, like, I don't know how often we really take a deep dive into understanding what we truly can bring to a role, bring to an organization, a company. And in many ways, like, how can we mentor others? We're all at various stages in our career, whether it's you're new to career, you're mid, maybe you've retired and you're kind of trying to find that next step and what is my value proposition as I continue moving forward. And so I'm excited for Staci to walk through kind of her lens and what she's done and how she's helped many, many other people kind of design that and better understand ways that they can, ways in which a person can identify and understand the perspectives around them, including their own, and then really develop that value proposition they feel really confident around and can feel confident in any situation. So Staci, I'm gonna hand it over to you. I'll walk through these, so just let me know when you need me to continue moving through. But
Yes.
take it away.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing up the authenticity and integrity and being able to live your values, because we'll talk about that with value proposition, and they're plural value propositions. And it starts with this. So let's start with the context that we're in. I think that's really important to understand what is actually not a game, but the game of career search. And of course, we're in these uncertain times where the horizon may look dimmed, like for this gentleman, and we may be wondering how the clouds will part. But hopefully today we'll talk about how they'll part for you, or how ways you can make them part. Okay, we can go to the next slide, Emilie. The first thing that I wanted to let everyone know is that you're not crazy if you think it's an extremely difficult market. Right, we're seeing, especially, there can be cognitive dissonance as you see all the employment reports with, exceeding the job targets, etc. But this was, as you can see, in early May this year, and we can share this link with anybody or in things after if you're interested. But we are seeing that most of the job growths are what they call brawn, right, or going with the Build Back Better plan, and lots of those kinds of jobs, but the brain market really is tight. So I think it's helpful for you to know it's not you, right? It's a business cycle that we are seeing. We can go to the next slide. And now I'll just do a really quick touch of woman-splaining. I will try not to do too much, but I'm sure you all have gone and seen 200 applicants for different jobs. That's common. And we can go to the next slide, Emilie. If you if you scroll down, you'll actually see, if you see, this is the same job. Oh, wait. Yeah, go. So, okay. If you see that at the bottom, and you can scroll down to the jobs and see that it's actually 654 applicants, not 200. So I think it's important and helpful perhaps to see the size of the competition that you're in. So these are like hackathons or pickleball tournaments, with the different interviews being the different levels, right? Or the semifinals, finals. You can think of it that way. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Uh, and actually, can we go back? I'm sorry, I forgot to add that there's a quote here from this FANG staff engineer, which is a couple of years ago before the market was even this tight, who said out of his top, and if you can hover over that, um, Emilie, the underlined FANG staff engineer, I think it'll bring up the link. Oh, I guess not. At any rate, there's a link here we can share too. But out of his top 14 lessons, number one is how well do you influence? That's going to rise you to the top of that candidate pool and that hackathon. And that's where value proposition comes in, and where we have to customize it to particular positions and speak to them. All right, now we can go to the next slide. And of course, to add insult to injury, and you can click again, there's some animation. Yes, we get about as long as it took to revolve that line, about 6 seconds to stand out. from the crowd, and that it's less, it's nanoseconds in an ATS resume review, right? But in an interview, 6 seconds. And that's not from me. Dr. Cuddy, who's out of Harvard Business School and School of Social Psychology, who studies what gets people hired. This was a bestseller, a classic, I guess now, pre-COVID, 2016, in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. And she found the 6 second, but also the two invisible interview queries. And you can click one more time, Emilie. It should bring up the interview queries, but they go to credibility. They go to whether I respect this person and whether I trust and believe what they're saying. And further, do I trust and believe that they know my business? Right. And so now we're going to go into a little bit more of, well, it still is context, but now we're moving toward how do we deal with this context? Okay. So again, we want to recognize the game and understand that, and you all, this is womansplaining. I know you all know this because we all signed them. Jobs are employment contracts, right? They're contracts. So you can think about a job description just like a request for proposal or an RFP. They're putting it out, they're getting back a lot of vendor submissions, which the vendors think they're candidates. And they are candidates, but we're also looking at them at a vendor. My clients hire me for my experience. Emilie asked me to come here for my experience, not really for my talents, which I was the most talented in my high school. So it is a little bit sad, but our talents have to be put into use cases to help other people. And the use cases nowadays need to be bespoke, right? We're getting into more and more bespoke. So you must really analyze the job description and see what you think their needs are and their language. If they call it human capital and you call it human resources, just to use a real one, or the difference even sometimes between program management or initiatives or projects, you really need to, put that language not only in your resume, which is the written side, but also verbally for your flip side. Okay. And that brings us to what the value proposition is. The value proposition does that because the value proposition is not a talent statement of I'm, multifaceted. I think I'm going to show you an example of this in a resume in a minute. I'm multifaceted, ambitious, and I'm this kind of talent and that. They don't have time for 653 people are saying the same thing. Instead, what you want to do is get out of your own point of view and think of the point of view of your audience or audiences, which leads us to the plural and the use cases, right? So I help seasoned and emerging leaders. Oh, can we go back? I will get to the example in a sec, but so I help, thank you. I help seasoned and emerging leaders, or I help product development teams. You want to start with 3 descriptors of your audience rather than you. And this, by the way, you can lead a resume and lead a tell me about yourself with this customized both. So who is the audience and what kind of situations are they facing? It's not just anyone, and what complicates it before you get to you. So a lot of this is building tolerance to analyze. You all have the tolerance because you are business people. You have to analyze your audience. Okay. But we want to lead with some stuff about our audience before we bring forward our solution, which is a particular deliverable that gets certain results. And maybe we have a special sauce that can lead to our values and how we like to do things. Does that make sense? Okay. Now we can go to
Yep.
the next slide. Here's a sample, as Emilie was rushing to share with you, that you can put at the top of your resume and also lead with and in cover letters. So in this one, who do we help? Leading retail firms. What situation are they facing? This is a very specific climate focused one, but what are they facing? They need to achieve climate goals, but what complicates that? Well, they've got to maintain quality and costs at the same time. So how do I help them? Well, I spearhead robust, practical, right? So robust for all the climate goals, but practical, quality and cost, sustainability plans. That's the deliverable. That, for example, cuts scope 1 and 2 emissions by 34%. And you could say in 12 months if you wanted to add to that. You can see how different, just take product director jobs, how different ones would require different uh, value propositions, and also that you can focus on different audiences. Are you focusing on the consumer recipients of the tech you're producing, or are you focusing on the firm or the teams? Okay, it's all.
So Stacy, I'll just chime in quick. Is the number of
Yeah.
interviews that I've been doing over the last few weeks has been pretty high and intense, and there's sometimes multiple people from the same company. And what I've always tried to do is to go and if I get a name in advance, I'll try to look them up on LinkedIn, see what their background is, where their focus is too, to kind of to your point here is to kind of like cater and change up my talk track based on the audience that I think I'm going to engage with, right? So it's a great best practice to do, and I've found success with it myself too. So great point you're making there.
Thank you. And it is the other application of agile, right? You are
Yep.
so right. You
Love
ultimately have to
that.
customize it to each individual person. So we have to get agile in and people, I call it a Jedi mind trick, but the Jedi mind trick is on yourself.
True
Getting
story.
yourself out of the way so that you can speak to different audiences quickly, you know? So, but and it's a trick. It's a talent, I'm sure. How are you getting better at it? Are you finding
Yep. Every time
getting
I get a chance to do it, I practice, and it's getting smoother and smoother each time. So yep.
That's good. All right. Emily, do you have anything you want to chime in? No?
No, but I completely agree. And I think there is that practice element is so important the more and more we're doing it. And I would say the more we get perspective from others as well. I know there's plenty of times I've had conversations with my husband or a coworker, and I've asked them whether it's a value proposition or just whatever I'm doing. That perspective is incredibly important because I may see something one
Yeah.
way, but it could be seen completely different from that
Agreed.
other
Yeah.
lens.
It's 100% true. There's a grand chasm. This is perfect timing and perfect. And one more clip. This is the grand chasm between I'm talking to you about different points of view. We're all in three of them. My point of view, how I impact others, and the world that encases us all. And this is a client of mine who came from another resume writer, and this wasn't working. Back to that first person point of view. I'm ambitious and multifaceted and shrewd, and you're telling someone something. This is really the source of all womansplaining or lecturing, is when you're telling someone something. And so storytelling is a misnomer that actually leads us down the wrong path. That's telling, you've got to believe me, and all we listeners here is this person thinks they're great. But does that mean they're great? So, what happens if you shift to the point of view of the world around us? And Emily, can you go to the next slide? This is the same person on the next slide. The same person. But this is told from the third person point of view, also known as the journalistic point of view, about the who, what, where, when, and whys of your career, right? This reveals someone being ambitious and multifaceted and whatever other adjective your listener, your audience wants from someone, right? Just give them the facts and let them see. And then, of course, we have to morph these facts
Yeah.
for the different folks. Yeah, John, you were
And I
saying?
love that perspective too, because when I look at this, I see the coaching that I've received from career coaches in the past as well too, which is make sure you include a lot of statistics, data, specifics as much as you can. But I love the way you just explained it, right? It's like to me, I would have done the same thing, but not necessarily with the context of what you just explained, which was let the work speak for itself and to showcase to the people that you're looking at that this same data means all the same things that that other slide said, but instead of it being a storytelling and just us bragging about ourselves, now it's just posting data and statistics that are going to support that same work. So I love that twist on it. So great insights.
Good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I
Emily?
completely agree.
Mhm.
And I think we've all been in that situation where it's like it's almost like you catch yourself telling versus really demonstrating or showcasing what it is you truly have done and how you've moved a business forward in a unique or strategic way, and what differentiates me from others who may have done something similar as well.
Exactly. And sometimes we can't really see it until we get out of our to-do list of our own perspective and into what the real story was that we were working on and how things changed from when we started to when we finished. Right.
Yeah.
And so it brings great meaning also to yourself about your career. I've had clients say, I never knew what I'd done. I had to get up and walk around. Is this really me? Oh my gosh, how much impact I've had. And then it does bring integrity because you're telling the truth. The thing about story showing, which is what it really should be, is, is that, and that's from the world around us. Most of us think we're great storytellers, but we're really just telling the story of one character, which is you, right? Storytelling is about what the camera is showing you. For most of us have seen it visually in movies. You have to become the camera for your listener because they don't know what you see. And we have to start with painting the context back to the value proposition of the situations and the complications our customers were facing. And agilely, we have to pick those circumstances because you can't do everything. Everyone has time for a Harvard business case in every interview answer, so you have to focus in on those that you think are most relevant and resonant with whomever you're speaking to. Back to our
All
agile
right.
interview capability.
Perfect. What else we got in here?
Well, we've come to the end of what I was going to add to this one. But just to say you can click, yeah, you can turn your journey into a better one with more flowers to go down to find folks by using this approach of third person and also second person analysis, and then constructing or engineering your communications that way. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
That's awesome. Stacy or Emily, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, thank you. I'm always like I've heard some of this now a couple times, and I'm still learning new things. But one thing that really stuck with me and really struck a chord was the camera view. Like, be the camera, and that is not something I feel like we inherently do or just autonomically do. Being the camera requires you to be outside yourself. Being the camera requires you to be vulnerable. And that is not always an easy task. But that stuck with me. I'm going to take it along. I know that for sure. John, is there anything that really kind of stuck with you?
Yeah, I mean, I've already kind of commented throughout the show on kind of what the key things that jumped out at me, so I'll just leave that where it's at. But I just do want to say thank you so much to, Stacy for coming on and agreeing to walk us through it because I think you're right, Emily, is like we can't hear this stuff enough because, like again, similar information that I've heard from different people, but just some little insights that Stacy shares resonate with me even stronger than what I would have already had. And so I really appreciate the ability to come on, do this live video, and leave it out here for the LinkedIn world to be able to watch and to learn from. And keep in mind that as we go through this and the future guests, we'd love to get insights from others as well too. And so if anybody has anything in the future to share, please feel free to reach out to Emily or myself too. But Emily, why don't you finish up with Stacy here and any final words, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Yeah. So first, I will make sure once this is posted, we'll have the link to your profile, Stacy. So if anybody would like to just gain more information or work with Stacy, you'll have the ability to just have it right there for you. If you have questions, please make sure you're using the comment portion, or if you have comments that you want to provide, or maybe even have used your services or have used some of these techniques and how that's changed kind of your trajectory throughout your career, we would love to hear that. And then Stacy, I'll allow you just to kind of close if there's anything additional that you wanted to walk through or let the audience know.
Yeah, I'll say two things, one logical and one emotional, because those are the two big categories of competence we're all going for, right? So, logically, communication, the whole world is a bunch of matrices. I would say Morpheus is right. It is a matrix. Okay. So, and communication is one as well. Um, and you have to have the value proposition that I was mentioning and to speak, like the journalist or like the camera and from the audience's point of view. But you have to do it at three levels. You have to do it at the tell me about yourself level, at what you did at a particular firm or tenure. Maybe you were 6 years in, as a product leader or whatever. And then or I don't mean whatever, you know what I mean. And then you also have to tell it at the level of a specific story, right? A specific project or a product. So that's where the agility becomes, it can kind of break your brain. So so that's why I developed a systematic method for going through that and putting it all together like a script, so that you can start that way and then go out and use it. And that's the logical thing. So I would be happy to talk with anyone about that. And you can do it all the way from starting at 90 minutes to a whole package. Okay. But or even 30 minutes for an initial discussion. But the other thing that I wanted to add emotionally is that when we're in these really difficult markets, we can go through a whole lot of emotions about it. And I actually take my clients through an emotional meditation to learn how to handle those. But what I wanted to say, that one good thing we know about these difficult mountain climbing situations, environments, is that our ancestors went through them. One, okay, harder ones than we did. And number two, they actually do give us a chance to build the most important competency, or what we're seeking, the desire we're seeking, which is our competencies to be recognized. After all, that's what security and freedom and respect, on which love is built and worth is based. So we keep learning, as John was saying. It's one of the reasons I asked, are you finding your learning as you go through it? That can be a reward along the way, and you can get more and more competent with what you're doing. So I always think of it either like mountain climbing, and you get to base camp one, and then you have to come back next year or the next interview to get to base camp two, or, being in the big leagues and trying to hit those 106-mile-an-hour fastballs out, get to a base hit or second base, or then third, and then home. All right. So to help ourselves emotionally, number one, know that you will be building competency in this difficulty, and that is going to require maybe playing in the triple A's for a while, or getting base hits before you get home runs.
Awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You can describe everything so well. And it's so very true, though. I think that emotional element, we don't always think about it, but it's very true. And I love that you pulled our ancestors into that too, because it's so true. Like there is a lot of history here and similarities that have been experienced and kind of how we navigate that. And I would say just as true to form as how we lean in to each
Yeah.
other and help one another as well.
Yeah, and one
Yes.
final thought I have, in support of, getting a career coach, right? Like Staci here, for example, is that a lot of times I think as professionals, we feel generally pretty confident that we know what we need to do. But I would tell you that if you've gone through some interview cycles and you're not finding success in those first interview cycles, very quickly you can be eroded, right? Like, I mean, it's very quickly your confidence goes away, you become eroded. And I would tell you that by having someone in your corner that is trained and skilled like Staci is, that can kind of reinforce to you that no, you're just doing the right things. This just isn't the right opportunity for you. This is, because I'll be honest with you, like I've, applied for a number of jobs over the last several months, and, some of them that I'm just like, why the heck don't they want me? And then there's other ones where you're like, oh my gosh, this one's actually going to happen, right? And it just, your emotions, as you said, Staci, go up and down with it. And I think having a great support system, honestly, I'm grateful for Emilie in my life. She's been a great support system for me and a big cheerleader. Staci, you know, having someone like you as a career coach is going to be a great support system too, and just people around you that know who you are, know what you're about, and what you're capable of, and can kind of continue to just kind of give you that boost you need to stay in the game and keep fighting the good fight. So
Another day.
Well
It's
said,
just
John.
last thing. I just realized. Oh wait, this way behind me. That is my grandmother's blanket.
oh, nice.
Speaking
The
of
ancestors. Yeah,
ancestors,
the
yeah,
ancestors.
she made that blanket. So
Very good.
it's really old. It's probably from the 1930s.
Yeah.
40s.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you
Just
everybody for your time, for watching. I appreciate you. Feel free to kind of like and share, and please repost this. We'd love to get this, message out to as many people as possible, and to continue to give
yeah.
exposure to great people like Staci and Emilie, and maybe even myself a little bit too. We'd love to kind of make sure that we
Yes.
connect with anybody who's interested. You know, send us a LinkedIn connect request, and we'd be happy to connect with you and have a conversation. Thanks so much.
100%. And
Bye,
Thank
remember,
everybody.
comments, we want them. So
Yep.
please use that field. Thanks,
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
everybody.